So now it is my honor to introduce to you Seneca College's dynamic duo, Frank and Rozika Sulatycki. Their story has essentially two components, I would say. Their story is about love and volleyball, about family and volleyball, about coaching, volleyball, about their careers and volleyball. Rozika, by way of the Yugoslavian national volleyball team, and Frank, by way of the European Division I basketball team in Germany, met at UBC, where Rose worked in the research lab doing KFIR fitness tests, amongst other things. Frank was a grad student who was devastated when Rose turned him down for a first date because she had a volleyball practice that night. Luckily, his persistence paid off, and fortunately for us, Rose converted basketball Frank to volleyball Frank. Sorry, pages are sticking here. Aside from their remarkable achievement of 7 straight OCAA championships and 2 CCAA bronze medals, actually 3, sorry, it was their approach to volleyball that was even more successful. Frank and Rose will tell you that volleyball was simply a means to successful life skills. With fastidious organization, the value of planning was so evident in their practice and game preparation. Athletes will tell you the importance of their individual game binders, which were a required extension of their body. No binder, no play. And Bonnie's chuckling because she probably put those binders together. And Frank would check the binders, and he shocked the starters by actually sitting them out when their goals had not been entered. Nothing would distract the coaches from their game plan. And I recall a trip to Cambrian College in Sudbury, where Frank had the misfortune of falling on the entrance pathway, and he broke his leg. Still, with 100% focus on the game, an office chair with wheels was summoned from the college, came out, met Frank, and they rolled him into the gym. And it wasn't until they returned back to Toronto that Rose could talk him into going to the hospital. Mental preparation was also a critical part of Frank and Rose's game prep, far before it became fashionable to have visual preparation and envisioning. Frank was doing this and Rose was doing it with their teams. One of his quotes, "Sparkle in your left eye, sparkle in your right," meaning the athletes were stars and they would sparkle on the court. Classroom sessions every Monday after practice were devoted to mental skills. The team worked on breathing, goal setting, self-affirmation, and visualization. Seneca teams under Frank and Rose were the most fit. Rozika would show up the players by doing lunge jumps and skipping longer than most matches ran. Then they would go over to Frank's corner, the end staircase, where they ran stairs. The bucket was placed in the gym as a constant reminder to remain focused and fit, so extra running drills were not added to the evening. I don't think we could get away with that today, but it worked then. Technical execution of skills is paramount. Frank would MacGyver all sorts of practice contraptions, and when I remember this, with the 2 hockey sticks he grabbed from the arena from our hockey team, he would tape them to the goalposts, and they would tie ropes across the top of them, and the players had to practice serving above the net, but between the rope. He also made a blocker out of plumbing pipes the bungee cord around the end, swung it around, and players had to dive under and over. And when I hear these stories, I think, Bonnie, were we that cheap we couldn't buy a blocker? Rose brought her playing expertise to work with the hitters, and it was Rose's mission to work with our soon-to-be all-Canadian on her hitting out of bounds. Our young rookie insisted that hitting down the line meant hitting on the line. Rose explained that the stats showed that this particular player's accuracy was 50-50 at best, and she would have a much greater possibility of succeeding if she came 3 feet inside the line. But that's not hitting down the line, this future all-Canadian would say. Rozika had had enough. On the next time out, she took the player to the side. She said, "I have had it. You're in the accounting program. Let me see if you get this. Every time you hit the ball out, you're going to give me $1. Every time you hit it in, I will give you $1. Guess who won the most money? It was Rozika. And guess what they practiced the next practice? Hitting down the line. Volleyball for both Rose and Frank was a passion they shared with family, friends, and players. The Seneca team was an extension of their family, with Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners shared in their home. Reunions remain with those groups till this very day, so many years later. Their dedication to develop their young charges beyond the court has left an impression on hundreds of players, not only at Seneca, but in the community, where Frank and Rose were recognized by the Ontario Volleyball Association with the Builders Award. Seneca was so fortunate to have Frank and Rozika at the helm of Seneca's volleyball program for 19 years. Thank you, Andrew, Lisa, Tess, Catherine, for sharing your parents with us. And thank you, our dynamic duo, for your outstanding dedication and your exceptional successes. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you CCAA Hall of Fame coaching inductees, 3-time OCAA Coach of the Year, 2-time CCAA Coaching Excellence Award winners, and an award that has still remained today is 3 CCAA gold medals, the most any Ontario team, women's volleyball team, has won at the Nationals. Frank and Rozika Sulatycki.
Let me just say it's a great privilege for Rozika and I to be here tonight among such well-deserving people, inductees into the CCAA Hall of Fame. So we'd like to congratulate all the inductees. Now, we all know that coaching is an art, and this craft can only be made better, easier to perform in the right atmosphere, if the atmosphere is friendly and supportive. And Rozika and I were very fortunate at Seneca to be in such a condition. When we learned, for example, that the president of the college attended 1 or 2 of your matches, you know that athletics means something at Seneca. We also had 2 dedicated, inspiring, supporting, guiding lights in Bonnie Backfar, who hired us actually, and then followed by Linda Stapleton. Our coordinators did a tremendous amount of background supportive work. We never had to worry about those things in preparation for any matches, be they exhibition or league matches. And we would like to thank Evan Armstrong, Wayne Fish, for example, Elaine Fenner, just to name 3 of these fabulous people. Thank you. The therapy department, of course, was priceless. They looked after our athletes. They looked after any injuries. We never had to worry. They were there in practice and for all matches. Then we never had to worry about the special equipment we needed for practice, nor clean, well-fitting uniforms. The control room, superb. looked after it. The transportation department provided us with clean, safe, driven buses. But you all know that anyways. So Fred would say, go on, go on, go on, you know. Thus, this, and what we found, this was such a contrast with coaching club or high school, where all of these responsibility fell on the coach's shoulders. Here, we were able to focus on coaching. Personally, I'm very, very happy that I've had my co-coach, and she told me tonight, you go ahead, I'll give you permission, you can talk. And of course, as any married man knows, the answer has to be, yes, dear. As was mentioned, she was a former national team player in both the former Yugoslavia and the Canadian national team. She won MVP awards at the national championships in Calgary and a year later in Toronto. She taught and introduced, actually, diving for volleyball in BC because, as you know, we met at UBC. She has such a keen feeling and sense for the game. And so often in practices or in matches, before I could sort of click in here or check the stats, boy, she knew exactly what technical or tactical adjustments had to be made. And she would just bump me if I didn't listen to her. Now, we also have 4 wonderful children. And we introduced them to the game from a small age, young age.
They had no choice.
Yes, that's true. Now, here are some examples of their achievements. Our oldest, Lisa, after graduating from LSU, leading her team to the Final Four, then she did her master's in sports administration coaching, worked 2 years at Kent State, 2 years at Gonzaga, then took over headship at Simon Fraser in BC. And that provided quite a help to me because before our season started here, I would go out and work with her team. Boy, was it ever an education. It was really a pleasure, but I learned a lot of things. And when I came to Seneca, I was ready to coach. Now, Tessa, our second daughter, did a tremendous amount in volleyball as well. LSU, power hitter, led her team to another appearance in the Final Four. But she also, before that, she represented Canada at the World Junior Championships in Seoul, Korea. And she's still involved in volleyball, playing recreationally, and coaching school and club. Andrew, my best and only son, just came back from the US Open Masters tournament in Florida, in Orlando, with a special All-Star award. And he, unfortunately this year, his team, even though they reached the finals, did not win the championship as they did the previous 2 years. Now, at the end of a month, off he goes to Brazil to the World Masters Championships. Our youngest daughter, Catherine, played volleyball until junior age, but then, Dad, I can't work in the studio and train for volleyball. I spend hours. So she decided to devote her time to the fine arts and obtain her fine arts degree. I had also the privilege of coaching Tessa's husband, Craig, in high school. And I found Andrew's wife, Janice, extremely supportive all the time. So was my brother, his wife, Liz, and their son, Julian. Now, we could perhaps summarize? We're a volleyball family. and now we're introducing our grandkids to, all 5 of them, to the beautiful game. Now, okay, we were also fortunate, very fortunate, to have worked with some very outstanding athletes. We were extremely happy and honored to have one of them as an inductee with us. Avery was an all-star, but she was extremely, extremely committed and dedicated to achieving both academic and volleyball goals. After graduation, she became a very valuable coach. She was a superb demonstrator and a superb coach in practices and in matches. She also kept excellent, superb statistics. And as was mentioned, every year, she always looked forward to that dinner that Rozika would host. No. Okay. So we were very blessed and fortunate to have had this terrific support at Seneca and with our family. This allowed us to focus on coaching. And what we did in coaching, we tried to teach our players that giving that little bit of extra is necessary for success. So as Linda mentioned, post-practice time, there we go, jumping, skipping, stair work, and so on, and classroom sessions. In the classroom sessions, we taught our students breathing techniques, relaxation techniques, goal setting, and they had to write them down in binders. We provided the binders to each one. And also the art of visualization, or called imagery. We taught them positive affirmations, how to replace a negative approach by a positive. We also taught them changing habits and such skills. The main thing we try to emphasize with them, that these are life skills. They're good on the court, but they're applicable to life. And we're quite happy and fortunate when we receive the contact back, even now, from some of our former players. Were we successful with all of them in this? Definitely not. But we still hear from them Christmas cards, emails, invitation to their wedding, sharing any of their life experiences, whether it's a birth of a child or travel adventure. Consequently, we're extremely happy with that. We have been very fortunate, we both feel, that coaching at Seneca was most enjoyable, precious experience. Okay, now it's time to let younger generation coach.
That's right.
Okay.
Usually, I'm used to having the last word.
Yes, dear. Yes, dear.
And my word is a big, heartfelt thank you to everybody involved.
Thank you.